Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Business Mirror's Freshly Brewed, a spin off of Coffee Club. Freshly Brewed will feature the latest business trends. If we find something interesting, we might even dabble into the lifestyle and even entertainment trends. For our very first Freshly Brewed episode, we have a very special guest who will talk about Sendit, a Southeast Asian fintech company that provides payment infrastructure across Indonesia, the Philippines, and Southeast Asia. Its mission is to make payments simple. To tell us more about Sendit, here is Yang Yang Zhang, the Managing Director of Xendit Philippines. Good morning, Yang Yang, or should I say good evening, since you're over there in the States. And welcome to Business Mirror's Freshly Brewed.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Anne. Great to be here.
Okay, thank you. Before we start talking about Sendit, can you please tell us something about yourself? Where did you graduate and how did you get into this line of work?
So I guess I've been in tech pretty much all of my life. I started coding when I was a kid. I think my parents, really invested in me being kind of in STEM since I was born. So I went to MIT for undergrad. Actually started off in computer science, and realized after about a year and a half that maybe I wasn't cut out to be a developer at the time. But I really loved building businesses. I think always, I've loved to tinker, I've loved to build. And so I think after I graduated, I decided that I really wanted to explore what it would be like to build businesses rather than, just code. And so I kind of went through a long kind of entrepreneurial journey. I started off in ed tech, went to environmental tech, was the CMO of a publicly listed environmental tech company for a couple of years, and then kind of realized that, my passion really lay in building tech products. I think there's something very, very captivating about the way that tech can help products scale so quickly and how much impact tech can have, especially in emerging markets. And so I think at the environmental tech company, I ended up working in a lot of emerging markets, particularly in Southeast Asia, actually, through the UN. And I think that after you do that a couple of times, it's really, really hard to, not have that kind of impact in your everyday life. So when that company, was acquired at the end of 2016, I thought, I really want to start a venture of my own. I wanted to find a market that I was really, really excited about. I wanted to find a project I was really excited about. And that's how I came to the Philippines. So I decided to co-found a crypto exchange, still running in the Philippines today, called PDAX. We, wanted to be the first regulated crypto exchange in the market. And basically, I did that for about 2 years. I headed product, business strategy there. And then at the end of those 2 years, it was a great run. We actually raised Series A. And then I decided that, I really wanted to see something that was going to have more immediate impact. So I think that the reason that fintech matters so much is that, fintech is really at the core of a nation's infrastructure, just as much as, roads and highways and all of those other, great infrastructure projects are. Fintech and financial infrastructure is one of the most important things that make an economy grow. And so I think that's what's appealed to me about Xendit. I think the mission of Xendit in Indonesia, which was our first market across Southeast Asia, has always been this idea of letting fintech build the roads, the highways between financial institutions. And so I think that's what brought me to Xendit. Really excited to have been here for the last, year and a half, kind of building out the Philippines company and product.
Okay. Can you describe what a payment gateway is?
Yeah,
How is it different from the payment gateways that we're used to, like GCash, PayMaya? What is the difference of Sendit?
Got it. So I think for GCash and PayMaya, we see them as partners, right? The best way to think about a payment gateway, and I love the word gateway because it implies that you're unlocking something, right? You're unlocking some sort of gate or potential to something even bigger and better. And so the way that we see ourselves, we're an enabler. We help businesses unlock the potential of using digital payments without having to build out everything themselves. So for us, PayMaya and GCash, they're not competitors. They're our best partners. They're the financial institutions that we're building the roads between. So I think, for example, for a new business who wants to accept payments from GrabPay, PayMaya, and GCash, that could be a year's worth of work in terms of negotiating partnerships, contracts, doing all that tech integration. For us, we say, we have all these three integrated already. It's like one plug, and you can have access to everything we've already built out on our side.
I see. So you, in other words, you're the, how do you say it? You're the mother company, and you partnered with all these other payment partners so that you can enable the businesses to offer easier payment solutions. Is that correct?
Exactly. So we're sort of a
Okay.
one-stop shop to access all
Okay.
the rest of the financial institutions that you want to partner with.
I see. When did Send It start here in the Philippines?
So we launched very late last year in 2020. So I think this we're coming up on about a year of operation, maybe a little bit less. We
Okay.
started exploring the market a little bit late in 2019, but of
Mm-hmm.
course with COVID, there was some adjustments in strategy. We really wanted to make sure that we went out to the market with a very compelling product. So just
Uh-huh.
a year of operation now.
Okay. So, if I am a small business, what sort of services can I avail of with Send It? And why should I partner with you and not anyone else?
Really great questions. So I think for us, the kinds of businesses that we serve are everything from small businesses up to giants in the market. So the likes of like Grab, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like what we are great at is that because we work with these giants, we have to build the best of the best. Instead of
Okay.
just building out the bare minimum, we have to build out all the bells and whistles, right? Because these are the bells and whistles that the big guys are going to want from us. And then
Mm-hmm.
we take all that, really sophisticated product with all the fraud detection tools, all of the, transaction monitoring, all of these like massive amounts of channels, and we
Mm-hmm.
package it into something that small businesses can use. So I think
Okay.
for small businesses, the way that they typically use us, and we have, a lot of them now, is one through third-party integration. So let's say it's a Shopify store or a WooCommerce Wix store. They can just use a simple plugin. It's really just a 5-minute setup process where they can enable their product, their store to use their entire suite of products in just a few minutes.
Okay.
On the
I
flip
see.
side, we also have even more creative ways they can use us. So I think, for example, one of my favorite examples that there's a restaurant in BGC. When you
Uh-huh.
check out with them, instead of handing you a check because of COVID, they actually
Mm-hmm.
email you a Xendit payment link. And so I think for us, it's so simple, right? You get a payment link through Viber, and you can click on
Okay.
that payment link and just pay. So I think
Mhm.
for us, the way that we really want to help small businesses is make sure that they don't need to even have a tech team. Um,
Okay.
it's a completely automated, completely online process to sign up. And then within a very few number of minutes, they can use basically everything in our product portfolio.
Okay. And how much will this cost our SMEs?
That's something we're really proud about. So there are
Uh-huh.
two things that we're really proud about. The first is that we actually have no sign up fees. So I think one of
Okay.
the we always feel like we have to put our money where our mouth is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that nobody has to risk any sort of upfront capital in order to give us a try.
Okay.
And we're pretty sure that once you do give us a try, you'll love it and continue to use it. So I think for us, one, we never have any sign up fees and we don't have any monthly fees. So the
Oh.
only time that you pay as a small business is really when you're actually sending transactions through our services.
Okay.
So I
So
think for
it's
us, it's very low risk. Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. So it's a payment you pay for when only when you use the system. That's correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
And of course, even as a small, merchant, you have access to our, around the clock customer success team. You have access to our product specialists. I mean, you're treated essentially just as much as, just as well as we would treat an enterprise customer, but you're a small business that can not take that risk. And so on the flip side, we actually, because we really wanted small businesses to try us out, started this program called the Level Up program. So Level
Okay.
Up program actually gives small businesses up to a year of free services. We will sponsor even these per transaction costs. Basically, literally costs them nothing to start this, up to 1.7 million pesos.
Okay.
We're sponsoring up to 1,000 businesses in the market, and we want to make sure that they have the ability to really give us a try for an entire year,
Mm-hmm.
just so that we can help the cause of digitizing as many MSMEs and SMEs as possible. So I think we're really proud about that, as well, because it really helps small businesses get over that initial fear of, oh, what if I pay this, sign up fee,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't like the digital payments or my customers don't like it. We
Uh-huh.
just say, give us a try and we'll help you, implement that and make sure that's optimized for your business.
Okay. So it's relatively easy to use the system. It's How would you assess the system? Is it easy to use for the SMEs?
I think so. I think, we've had a lot of SMEs give us really positive feedback on it. We service individual sellers. So, even
Mm.
people who are selling, my favorite is, the quarantine bakers. But, even like all of those like small businesses on Instagram, we service individual sellers.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and if I think, if someone just selling bread out of their home or, fitness equipment out of their home can figure out how to use it, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's easy to use.
Ah, okay. Can you tell us about the security features of the system? Because there's a lot of concern about this and about data privacy and all.
Yeah, I think that in terms of the security features, there are a couple of things that we really focus on. The first is that in general, cybersecurity is huge. I think that for us, we put a lot of weight into cybersecurity. We actually have an entire team of cybersecurity folks who hack our own systems every single day so that no
Oh,
one else can
okay.
hack us because they're the ones who are going to try to find all these weaknesses first and then we fix them before anyone else can get to it.
Okay.
The second is that we have actually a lot of devotion to fraud detection tools.
Okay.
So I think that, of course, on credit cards, there's a lot of fraud detection tools already available. What we want to focus on, because a lot of our, channels are alternative payment channels, e-wallets or OTC channels like 7-Eleven, Cebuana, we also want to make sure that we're monitoring behavior across those channels. So I think that's something that we really care about is that, the person who's paying for this invoice or this person who's paying for a purchase at a small e-commerce store isn't going to be someone who is, fraudulently using like a family member's card or fraudulently using a card that they stole.
Okay.
And so I think that, a lot of people have additional packages in terms of being able to purchase fraud detection tools. We
Mm-hmm.
actually have a suite of tools that are really world class that are built into the system already. So, for example, we allow people to block certain jurisdictions if they feel like they're not
Mm-hmm.
comfortable accepting payments from there. We allow people to block certain IP addresses if they feel like that
Okay.
IP address has been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
And then we even have like a in-house fraud scoring. So for each one of the transactions, there's actually a fraud score that's given
Mm-hmm.
to each one of the transactions, and the merchant can decide, is this fraud score too high for me to be comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
Or the merchant can kind of work with us and the fraud team to set different, I guess, features or to set different requirements within that fraud detection system and say, you know what, I'm comfortable with this because we service a lot of OFWs. So
Mm-hmm.
it's okay if I get a lot of foreign transactions. Don't flag these transactions in the future, and we'll continue to let them go through. So I think it's really about working with the merchant to figure out,
Okay.
what they consider fraudulent, and then of
Uh-huh.
course focus on how we make sure that they can maximize their sales without
Okay.
having any fraud risk.
Okay. Uh, so Sendit just started in the Philippines last year. Am I correct? Why did you choose the Philippines?
There are three major reasons that we chose the Philippines. I think
Mm-hmm.
the first is that I was very passionate about the market to
Okay.
begin with. I think that even when I first moved to the Philippines in 2017 to start PDAX, um, the country itself, I always describe it as being sort of like a primordial soup, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much potential in the market today. It
Okay.
feels like it's on the edge of this hyper growth. If you look at Indonesia, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, it's really where the Philippines is today, right? There's so much potential, even with the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Businesses are starting to digitize. A lot of banks, financial institutions are starting to look at these digital services, and so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like all the right ingredients are in place for there to be this hyper growth curve. And we really wanted to be there as part of that growth, and also to make that growth even faster. The second is that, especially having worked with the BSP and the SEC in the past, what I
Mm-hmm.
saw is that the Philippines regulators are actually incredible, especially compared to other
Mm-hmm.
regulators, really anywhere else in the world. I think that Philippines regulators are really open to innovation.
Okay.
They're very open to having very honest conversations with industry participants. And I think most importantly, I think that most regulators here
Mm-hmm.
actually welcome new ideas and
Okay.
disruptive technology. And so I think that's a huge part of it, right? We know that we're bringing something to this market that the market has never seen before. We know
Mm-hmm.
that we're trying to launch a lot of products that are very unfamiliar to this market.
Yeah.
But I think that we knew that as long as the regulators would be supportive of that, we actually
Okay.
had a chance. And then the last thing is that we are a regional company. So,
Mm-hmm.
we service, companies that have presence in multiple countries in Southeast Asia already. And a lot of them were coming back to us, in 2019, 2020 and telling us, hey, can you guys go to the Philippines? We love you in Indonesia. Can you build out
Mm-hmm.
all these same products for the Philippines? We would use you, we would switch over to you the moment you have them live. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we found that that actually has been great for our growth, right? Because we came here with sort of a ready-made customer set, and now we're continuing to build upon that with new customers in the local market as well.
Okay. Well, since the year 2020 was not really a good year for all of us, actually. So, how did Send It do last year? Since you just started, were your spirits dampened because of what happened?
I definitely feel like, in March, we were a little scared.
Uh-huh.
Of course, everyone was, right? We were like, what's going to come next? Will businesses shut down? Will the economy grind to a halt? But I think that one of the things I've always admired about the Philippines is that the people are so resilient, right? Our
Mm-hmm.
businesses are resilient. Our government is resilient. I think that we had a lot of faith, even as we were entering lockdown, a new team going into, remote work. Even
Mm-hmm.
at that time, we felt pretty confident that, somehow we'd find a way to bounce back. And what we saw is that digital payments really started to take hold
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as
that's right.
the pandemic locked,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the
Yeah.
moment we saw that, we felt, okay, we can grow on the back of this. We just have to
Okay.
adjust our roadmap to compensate for what businesses want today.
Okay.
So I think for us, while 2020 was definitely a scary year, especially in terms of what comes next, how do we change our roadmap and our strategy to accommodate. Ultimately, what we realized is that we just have to hold true to like our core principle. And at Xendit, that core principle is just listen to your customer.
Okay.
When we came to the market during the pandemic, before the pandemic, after, we just talk to our customers and ask them, what are your pain points? Is it being able to digitize your payments faster because now you can no longer have in-person interactions? And so I think for us, what we realize is that over the last year, we've actually managed to grow pretty significantly. I think on average about 40 to 50%
Okay.
month on month. And I think that also gives us a lot of faith that our thesis and our philosophy is working in this market, and we can
Uh-huh.
continue to grow here as the years go on.
Okay. I have a question here from Edwin Salian. What is it here? Will Send It eventually adopt a rewards or cashback system for frequent users?
So I think on our side, we are the payment gateway instead of like an e-wallet, right? So I think for us,
Mm-hmm.
we are the ones who service other companies like, let's say, Lazada or Grab. We would eventually build out a rewards system for those customers. So, for example, if customers want to use that reward system, give away points, or be able to accommodate for points for their customers, we will build that. But it wouldn't be a Zendit rewards; it would be for our customers themselves.
Okay. And can you tell us more about your plans for the Philippines?
Yes. So I think for the Philippines, we are here for the long haul. One of
Okay.
our, most important core principles, I think, is that whatever market that we enter, we want to hyper localize. So there are a lot of companies that want to expand very, very quickly. Basically, they copy and paste the same product over and over in different markets. But I think for us, we understand that payments is so specific, right? The e-wallets that are significant in Indonesia are not the same ones that are significant in the Philippines. And I think for us, what we care about is building deep into this market. So our plans really are to continue to work with, more and more financial institutions to
Mm-hmm.
find more of these first to market products. We have a couple. We have a pay later platform that allows for, really easy installment payments for all of our
Mm-hmm.
customers. So, even someone like a coffee cart, in the middle of Zamboanga could offer loans as part of their payment process. That's kind of a very unique product we brought to the market. The other is, bank debits, the ability to do like pulling from bank accounts and setting up
Mhm.
recurring payments. We want to continue to build out those new products so that everyone in the Philippines, whether you live in the provinces, whether you are an individual, baker, or whether you're a really big business, has access to that sort of world-class payment experience. And so I think for us, we want to make sure that as the Philippines grows, we
Mm.
become that backbone that really helps financial institutions um, reach everyone across the Philippines and make our products as easy to use as possible.
Okay. How would you describe your clients now here in the Philippines? Are they all majority of them are SMEs, or do you also have big businesses?
Yeah, so I think for us, we our identity has always been trying to service all uh, of the entire sort of gamut, right, from small SMEs into larger. So I think there's kind of four categories of merchants. We have a lot of enterprises. So these enterprises include, international regional companies that are using us locally. We have, kind of growth stage startups. So we're really proud to service the likes of, let's say, Kumu, one of the first companies in the Philippines to raise Series B. Really a front runner in terms of, innovation and also just, startup growth here in the Philippines as well. So we're really, really excited to service that startup tier as well. And then we service SMEs, so the likes of, let's say, Barchinos, ABGC, the likes of, restaurants, really well-established SMEs, as well as really tiny SMEs. So I think as of, a couple of months ago, we started servicing individual sellers. I mentioned that earlier. I think that right now we are able to service basically any business of any size as long as they have interest in digital payments.
Okay, I think we almost covered everything that we need to cover, Yang Yang. Would you like to give us your final message to the Filipino audience?
Sure. I
Yeah.
think for me, I just want to encourage anyone who has a business here or who is even interested in digital payments to reach out. I think you can feel free to go to the website. I think it's been flashed here a couple of times to just Google
Mhm.
Xendit Philippines. If you reach out to us, we will get back to you within the day. We would really, really love to hear from anyone. Something that I think we really emphasize as well is having the ability to understand customer pain points. So I think for us, we have this very co-build mentality. If we don't have the product already and there is
Uh-huh.
enough market demand, we will build it. It doesn't mean that we have this, roadmap that's set in stone and that's our product
Uh-huh.
portfolio and we refuse to innovate. We really want to hear from everyone in this market who is interested in payments and all of their needs. So I think for me, I just want to encourage anyone who even has questions, even thinking about starting a new business, to reach out to us. I think we really want to be that partner in terms of, helping that growth, helping accelerate that development. And then also one last thing, if I may, we are recruiting heavily for our Philippines team.
Okay.
There is also a careers page. If you click onto it on our website, we are looking for, people across the board. So I think that, on that front, if anyone's interested in kind of working with us as well, would love to hear from you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yang Yang, for your time.
Thank you
With,
so much. It was been
thank
great having
you.
you here. Thanks
Okay,
all.
thank you. Thank you. With that, we end our first episode of Freshly Brewed. Join us again in our next episode next week, where we will have Chris Reyes, the COO of Xendit Philippines, who will discuss empowering Philippine businesses to go digital. See you then, and good morning to everyone.